Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. What up? What up? What up?
What's good? What's good, man? How you doing, brother?
I am. Well, it depends on what you when you're asking me how am I doing. It depends on what you're talking about.
In general, just in general.
Oh yeah, I'm great.
Good?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. I guess we can get the pleasantries out the way. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Where's Scotty B?
All right, so as we know, it's NFL free agency started, and it's madness. It's madness in the streets, man. So
I want to tell you, right? I want to be just straight.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I want to be straight up. I have been in the dumps as far as football is concerned. Like I didn't want to hear nothing about football. I didn't want to hear nothing about the draft. I didn't want to keep up with anything.
Mm-hmm.
This free agency woke me back up, and got me right back into the game. To where it's like, okay, I'm excited for next season now. It was some moves made. What surprises you got, man? What moves surprised you the most?
The move that surprised me the most, I think probably the most surprising was, I would say, Kirk Cousins' contract. I think that.
Yes,
I think out of everything, because we knew he was going to be on the move, we knew that Atlanta was a possible destination, and I was just like, when I heard that he's getting 4 years, 1.8, and we're gonna get into his contract, right? You know what? I'll talk about it right now because we do have a lot of like free agency stuff to talk about. But it's funny because last year they could have paid Lamar Jackson $200 million, right?
Okay.
Whether it was fully guaranteed or not, it doesn't matter. They could have paid him $200 million to play quarterback at 26. At 26. And then fast forward 365 days, they're gonna pay a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins coming off of an Achilles, not even an ACL, but an Achilles, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed. You not see something wrong with that?
No, it makes sense to me, actually.
It makes sense to you.
Yeah, so I want to make it make sense, right? So you're right as far as logic, but I think that this season humbled the Falcons. I think last year they thought that they had their guy, had they let him play, and that he was going to develop into possibly their franchise quarterback. So I think last year they didn't sign Lamar because it was like, you know what, let's see what we have in Desmond Ridder. The season played out. And now they're starting to realize, like, you know what? We didn't have anybody. We don't have our guy, but we have a really talented roster that, you know, we've got terrific tight end. I mean, they didn't utilize Kyle Pitts. You got Bijan Robinson, which he's should be a generational back. And then you got Drake London. So you got all the pieces. You have to bring in the right quarterback or it's all for nothing. So I think Kirk Cousins just happened to be – he's always in the right place at the right time. And shout out to his agent, shout out to his team. Absolutely. Because they figure out how to get him the bag. So, it was a market for him. So for him to go to Atlanta, they probably had to overpay for him to go. And – again, he's in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, no. I mean, you said all of that, and it still didn't make sense. But what you said was absolutely right. I'm not saying that what you saying was wrong. What you saying was absolutely right, and I get it. It still don't make no sense
No,
because
I think we both agree they should have just signed Lamar for all that. I would rather have Lamar Jackson over Kirk Cousins any day of the week.
absolutely.
So please
So
don't misinterpret that.
yeah. No, I understood that. I feel like I mean there's been a ton of moves, right? But one thing I hate to even go here, right? But one thing that's I guess noticeable are the Cowboys, and I know I got this Cowboys hat on, and I really don't even want to have it on, but I felt like this might be the last time I get to wear this joint. And not because they didn't sign any of those backs, right? Because let's be honest. When it comes to free agency, a lot of teams overpay. You just said it. The Atlanta probably overpaid for Kirk Cousins, but a lot of teams overpay for some guys that they may or may not use, right? Or they're going to use them, but that may or may not be successful, and that's fine. But sometimes I'm not gonna go over to be like, oh, I'm done with them because I've been here before. We see that they don't really. I mean, probably the biggest free agent they signed in the last 20 years is probably Terrell Owens, right? And after that, it wasn't. They traded for Amari Cooper, so they've made some moves, especially in season. They've made some moves. So, you know, we in a group chat, and some of the things that I said. I was expecting to see, Bobby Wagner, who should be cheaper. Maybe Justin Simmons, but even if we don't get Justin Simmons, I know that's probably a stretch. And Eric Armstead that you guys just let go. And then when I saw Bobby Wagner get picked up today, especially by the Commanders, I was a little perturbed, to say the least.
Commanders have been active. They've been really active.
They have been active.
And I like the moves that they've made. I mean, I like the move for Austin Eckler. I thought that was a good move. What else did they get? They got some. They got some players.
They got Dorrance Armstrong. They got Tyler Biotish. So they got some other pieces. But I'll say this because I hear that. And to me, they have been active. Actually, a lot of teams have been active. I like what the Bears did, but as far as like the Commanders, I'll tell people this: I wouldn't get my hopes up, right?
So let's go back to the Bears for a second.
Well, let's hold on before we get to the Bears. Let's finish with the Commanders. I wouldn't get my hopes up because we saw Eckler last year, and he was. I think a lot of the guys that they have there are just holdover pieces or pieces that to one to change the culture and two to like get the system in there. He getting guys that know the system and know the coach's system, and then probably in a year or so they're gonna go get like their guys. I think this is just like I wouldn't expect the playoffs this year for the Commanders, but not the Bears.
All right, so I do like every move that they've made.
Mm-hmm.
However, and I heard this on paraphrase this. I heard this on Freddie and Harry today.
Mm-hmm.
The caller called in and he said that Justin Fields is like Will Smith in that episode where his father took off. Like he wonders why the Bears don't love him and what else could he do. And it's just, and when I heard that, I was just kind of like, yeah, that is true. Like, what are the Bears doing? I mean, I get it, right? Maybe they haven't made the right deal. I think you said it that it would be like stupid for them to keep both quarterbacks. They can't do that.
They cannot do that.
It's going to stifle Caleb Williams if you keep both of those quarterbacks in the quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't teams at least?
I'm sure they've called
Justin Fields.
I'm sure they've called. I think that the GM hasn't heard what he wanted to hear, right? So I feel like in the Justin Fields situation, this is my suggestion. This is if they smart, they'll do this, right? I wouldn't rush. I wouldn't rush a trade, but I'll be actively looking. And my thing is that they're probably looking to get a higher round pick. You know, it doesn't help that Mac Jones just went for a 6th-round pick, right? I think that doesn't help Justin Fields' case because if I'm not mistaken, they're in the same draft, right? They was in the same draft, so that doesn't help his case. What the Bears should do is contact the Raiders and get multiple year picks, right? So get a pick, of course, for this year. Whether it could be a 6th-round pick, but next year you're gonna get a 2nd, and the year after that maybe a 3rd or another 2nd or 4th or something like that, right? So don't just look for. And again, they may be doing this, but I would shop them to the Raiders. The Raiders need a quarterback. They're probably going to draft a quarterback, but so are the Vikings. And the window is closing for Justin Fields to find a home, so he can be a starter. Now, if that doesn't work, because you have to take Caleb Williams or you're going to get fired ultimately. Yeah. But if you don't take Caleb Williams, and you feel like, and you really do like Justin Fields, you could do one or two things. You can trade back to 3. Who has 3? New England. You could trade back to 3 and jump the Cardinals and get Marvin Harrison Jr. and trade for a multitude of picks so you can get additional 1st-round picks. So you'll get you could get some linemen. You can get all those holes that you claim that you have on an O line and the second, whatever. The defense is solid, but more picks don't hurt. I would trade back if you like Justin Fields and you feel like Justin Fields can take that next step. Trade back to 3, get Marvin Harrison Jr. before Arizona does, and you'll get a multitude of picks from the Patriots. And you move like that.
So I think you said it best. If the GM does not take Caleb Williams first, more than likely he'll be fired.
Maybe because if he makes the playoffs, all is forgotten, and they have enough to make.
They will run him out of Chicago. The other thing that you said that you're right about is the window is closing on him to be a starter. I saw somebody just put up there, the Raiders definitely need a quarterback. I agree with that, but I don't think it's too many more teams that, like, everybody has their succession plan for the most part. So now you start to look at it. Okay, if I can get Justin Fields cheap, do I bring him in as a backup at a low cost? I think personally, a fifth rounder this year would be fair compensation for bringing him in as a backup. I would be willing to do that, or I'd be willing to do a 4th rounder if I'm another team. Like, so let's use the Commanders. They could use them. You know what I mean? A 5th or a 4th for him wouldn't hurt, you know.
But he'll be in the same position he would be in with the Bears.
Yeah, but I also, okay, so let's take it south a little bit. What about the Saints? You know, you bring him in as a backup, and then maybe he challenges Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr didn't look that great this year.
I would definitely start Justin Fields over Derek Carr. Derek Carr. Derek Carr will actually be the backup. That's actually not a bad. That's not a bad team. I feel like where Justin Fields goes, he has the opportunity to be successful. Because here's the thing. Justin Fields should be a starting quarterback in this league. That's just my personal opinion. He should be a starting quarterback in this league. And these coaches, these offensive gurus that are supposed to be these geniuses, if you're telling me you can't do nothing with Justin Fields as a talent, then how good of a coach are you? Because I don't care if he throws for 300 yards a game because he's not going to. Lamar Jackson doesn't, and Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. Now will Justin Fields be Lamar Jackson? I don't know. I don't think he's been put in a position to succeed. He hasn't had the best of running games. Now they got DeAndre Swift. He hasn't really had receiving threats. He has DJ Moore. Maybe they go get Marvin Harrison Jr. You have DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. You instantly have one of the best receiving corps in the league, right? I've seen enough Marvin Harrison Jr. to think that he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league. Would you agree?
I absolutely. I want to tell you a move that I saw today, and it just made me just like wonder, like, okay, what are they doing? Mm-hmm. Drew Lock to the Giants, right? And so it's not so much that he's going there as a backup. You look at it like they paid him $5 million, right? So when you dissect that, you say like, okay, $5 million is what you would pay a team that, in my opinion, that you're competing for Super Bowl, and you want to basically ensure that you've got a good backup. And the other reason why you'd pay a backup $5 million is if you expect them to maybe play, right? So maybe Daniel Jones is not quite right. But I say all this to say, I would kick the tires on Justin Fields. Like, I give up a 4th-round pick before I try to experiment with Drew Lock, if that's the case that Daniel Jones isn't ready to go. They
need to. If I was the Giants, I would wash my hands with Daniel Jones and draft the quarterback at 6. But they may or may not. I can see them drafting a quarterback, but I could also see them drafting one of those receivers as well.
I think you're right, though. I think they are going to draft a quarterback, but I still would put, you could get another veteran, because like if let's say they draft JJ McCarthy, and that's about around that they're saying JJ McCarthy would go
to the draft board.
Yeah. I don't know if JJ McCarthy is a day one starter. You know what I mean? It might be better to get him in there, let him learn the offense, and then kind of build the team, stabilize the team a little bit more.
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? If JJ goes to the Giants or anywhere, I think that it's going to get to the point where they're going to want him to possibly start. Like, there's not too many places that many teams that's drafting in the top 10 that if they drafting a quarterback, they're going to probably want him to play immediately, right? I think that the Bears, they're in a bit of a situation to where they don't really know what to do. I can tell you right now, they don't know what to do with Justin Fields right now. And you have the Commanders need a quarterback. They're gonna expect him. They got Mariota, and I don't expect them to. If they start Mariota, you could definitely say no to the playoffs. The Patriots, I would think that the quarterback would start. A quarterback that they draft is going to start day one.
So let me ask you this, and I'm glad that you're bringing this up because I want to get your perspective as a coach, right? Mm-hmm. So when we were coming up, it was pretty much the quarterback. Like, you didn't play him right away. Like, they normally sat behind a veteran.
It was really rare. It was rare.
Yeah, for a year. Now we're seeing, I just basically like they draft you. If you're drafted in the first round, you're thrown to the wolves, no matter what the situation is. Why is that? From your perspective as a coach?
That's a good question. I could tell you why. Because these quarterbacks are developing a lot faster than they were back in the day. So you got to think about it, right? You got kids that start throwing at 5, 6, 7 years old, right? And those 5, 6, 7-year-olds have quarterback coaches. They have personalized coaches, individualized coaches just for that to work on their craft. So you got kids that are going to, and these you could be an inner city kid, you could be a rich kid. They everybody has some sort of coach. You can go on YouTube and look at more kids are watching film, and which is crazy. So they're developing earlier and quicker, right? And so you're expected to play damn near immediately. Like it's rare. Like if you're drafted in the top 10, right? If you're drafted in the top 10, you're expected to play day one. You're expected to be the starting quarterback day one, right? Because you got to think about it. That team is absolutely horrid, and a lot of times they want to see what they get. They invested this money. You look at guys that are 11, 12, Justin Fields wasn't asked to come and start at day one, right? Patrick Mahomes wasn't asked to come and start day one. I don't remember about Deshaun Watson, but Daniel Jones, he wasn't asked to come.
Yeah, because Eli, I think
Eli was there, but Eli was on his way out, right? So, but they knew Eli was washed, right? So they was like, we're drafting you, and because if I'm not mistaken, the year before they drafted Daniel Jones is when Eli's starting streak was messed up, if I'm not mistaken. So they knew it was about that time. So so that's from my point of view, that's part of it. Now money plays a part, but that I don't really think with these, because now you're not paying a guy. Remember back in the day, you was paying, like, some of these quarterbacks was getting like 40 mil, like Sam Bradford got a boatload of money. Now you got to scale, and it is what it is. I mean, you can try and get more money, like, and but it ain't really much negotiating going on. You know what you're gonna get paid those first 4 years, or first 5 years. I'm sorry. So it is what it is. So I just think they're developing a lot earlier, and coaches are expecting them to play.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up good points with Patrick Mahomes. You look at like Jordan Love. And it's been a plethora of just like other guys, and then you've got like guys like, you look at like Dak, you look at like Justin Herbert, that they started their first year, but it was more for injury reasons, right?
Right.
Even though I am a little conspiracy theorist that somebody did poke Tyrod Taylor in the lungs on purpose to get Justin Herbert in there, but regardless, you look at like somebody like Bryce Young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that he was the number one overall pick, but he didn't go to a good situation. Like, I don't know if he gained anything from playing this year. If anything, they may have slightly ruined him because they fired their coach. They didn't have the right personnel in there. They didn't really surround him with a lot of talent. And then now they've got to go back and get the talent, and he's got to adjust to pretty much the NFL. What's wrong?
Yeah, the Cowboys signed Eric Kendricks. I didn't verify. I'm taking this hat off, man. I'm sick of this. Hold on, what's that? But not so. I feel like well, I will disagree. I do think that Bryce Young, he learned something. He learned he got to get down, because he got to duck for cover. No, I mean, I think that there's always some sort of positive to starting from day one, right? But there's also positives to sitting day one, learning, just learning the game, because that joint is moving. Like, that joint is like the NFL game compared to the college game is a whole different level. That's, it's like going from high school to college on
Right.
crack, so, or steroids, I would say. I don't want to say crack. Crack is whack. But but yeah, so this, so they can learn the speed, You could, and you really learn that when you play. But there are benefits to sitting, watching, and learning. So some people, like for instance, I feel like if Patrick Mahomes would have started day one, he still would have been that good, right? I don't know if that team would have been that team went, I want to say 12-4 the first year. And he started the last game of the season and looked amazing. Right. And so they knew, but I think that they had a plan in place for this guy that they drafted in round one. And I think that it just took off. Bryce Young, for all we know, he could either be, I'm not saying that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, but he could be anywhere from Patrick Mahomes to Sam Darnold. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm more the mindset that he's going to be more Sam Darnold. Yeah, I don't really see Mahomes, but you're right. You don't know, right? If you give him the opportunity, give him the right coaching. I mean, look at C.J. Stroud. I mean, absolutely. Most people thought that Bryce Young was better and still could be better, right? Because we don't know. But you plug C.J. Stroud in there, and he had no problems figuring it out. Now, I do say it does matter the state of your team, which Caleb Williams, I'm glad to see that he kind of like somebody talked some sense into him, because the Bears, they're a ready-made team to where if he goes there and he balls out, they have the potential to make the playoffs. Right. Similar to the Texans, because they have the right pieces.
Yeah, I personally believe that he wasn't saying those things. I mean, we didn't hear him say it out loud. He didn't even tweet it. So I never believed those. He wouldn't play for Chicago, and wanting to be a part owner of the team as he once he got drafted. I personally didn't believe those things. Mainly because we didn't hear him say it. He did, everything you have to tweet now. And he didn't tweet that. So I was just like, yeah, it wasn't that big.
Do you believe that he's a generational talent?
Absolutely. He's the best. He's yes. So
you firmly believe that the Bears do not pick him, they have messed up.
I don't want to say that, right? And the only reason why I wouldn't say that, is because I think that Justin Fields is good, and I think that they've built a better team, and they seem more competent than they have the whole time Justin Fields has been there. The Bears look more competent now since they've gone to the Super Bowl. This is the most competent they've looked since they've gone to the Super Bowl, which was what, 2007? They've looked, and just look at the year after they went to the Super Bowl, they looked like they didn't have no damn sense. Like right now, it seems like the cards are playing in their favor. They're doing things the right way.
So I got something to add to that, right? So they have looked more competent, right? And they have looked better, and they've gotten better quarterback play. Mm-hmm. But the bar is so low in Chicago that is not hard to do. And I do believe that Justin Fields is a good player. Mm-hmm. But I think if they don't take Caleb Williams and they try to go for Marvin Harrison Jr., they will have screwed up. I think they have to take Caleb Williams at number one.
I disagree, Scott. And so here's the thing. Caleb Williams should be the number one pick in this draft.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that the Bears have to be the ones to take him. Now, should they take him? Yeah, but if they don't, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that because first of all, Marvin Harrison Jr. might be the most generational talent in this draft. He might be the most talented player in this draft, right? So if you say, oh, we didn't take Caleb, but we took Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think people are going to be like, ooh, you about to get fired, right? I think that because the Bears passed up on which ultimately now looking back at it, it was the right thing to do. Pass up on Bryce Young. They got multiple picks. And if you can now turn that number one pick into multiple picks and still get a generational talent, I think that it kind of changes things. But because the Bears are the Bears and they've been who they have been, is now, like you said, the bar isn't that high. So now they're expected to take Caleb Williams, and if you don't, you're probably gonna get fired. And if you, first of all, I would trade the pick to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1. Now at that point, yeah, you get fired because you could definitely flip that number 1 pick to get more picks, and you already got a number 9 pick. So
here's the thing, right? I think last year it made sense. So when we're looking at Bryce Young and you're looking at Justin Fields, the verdict was still out there on Justin Fields, but it was more in a positive light, where it's like, you know what, maybe if we give this guy the right opportunity, we set him up with some pieces that he could be a little bit more successful. So it was a lot easier to trade out of it. I personally feel like that Caleb Williams is a bigger prospect than Bryce Young was. I think people are a little bit higher on Caleb Williams than they were on Bryce Young. The other thing, too, is with the receivers, it's always going to be a generational receiver. Like, it's easy. Well, I'm not going to say easy because it's hard to find talent in the NFL. But you could find a receiver a lot easier than you could find a generational quarterback. If you've got the opportunity to get a quarterback that is going to shape and mold your franchise and propel you, you got to take it. And look, I don't want to compare.
I'll tell you why I shook my head no, because you're gonna laugh, but
yeah, I don't want to compare, like, it's no secret. We've been playing this Madden league or whatnot. And I'm just going to correlate it to real life is if you have a generational quarterback, you're more than likely going to be more successful than somebody that doesn't have one. And if you've got the opportunity to do it, and again, there's multiple different ways that you can win, right? You can build through your defense. You could, reset, your quarterback, the clock on your quarterback. But if you got the opportunity to get somebody like a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow, you got to do it, man. You got to pull the trigger.
So here's my thing, right? Because I get that, but I mean, you gotta stand on the courage of your convictions, right? So if you're sold on not I was about to say Patrick Mahomes, but if you're sold on Justin Fields, right? Because we don't know if they are, if they aren't. They kind of like stuck in that number 1 spot because Carolina sucks and Caleb Williams is there. But I look at it like this, and I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is I hate the draft sometimes when they bring up, say try and bring up dirty laundry just to like bring somebody's stock down. But remember the movie Draft Day? Hey,
I like that movie.
Yeah, that's my movie. So, Mac was his guy, right? He wasn't sold on the quarterback, right? He felt like he saw, that the quarterback had, some character flaws, right? Just from the way he moved, and ended up trading the pick, and that quarterback started sliding. Now, I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is going to slide, because I don't think that he has character issues. Some people say call him a mama's boy, but show me a man that's not a mama's boy. I'll show you a man that's a damn fool and whatever. So if the Bears are comfortable with Justin Fields, forget what the media says, forget what the fan base says, forget what anybody else says. If you feel like if you're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair him with Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore and the plethora of other guys that they have on that team, why wouldn't you? Because I tell you what, the Bengals don't go to the Super Bowl if they don't have Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? Now, like as good as Joe Burrow is, they're probably 1 or 2 games better if they don't have Jamar Chase. If they don't draft Jamar Chase that year, you know, even though they had holes, they had multiple holes that they needed to fill. They needed to get that quarterback some weapons. So who's to say that they don't go get Justin Fields? Now I get the salary. He's you know, you might have to pay him the following year. Who cares? Who cares? Right? Like if you feel like he's gonna be that guy and you're sold on Justin Fields, trade that pick back, 2 picks, because you know Arizona wants Marvin Harrison Jr. and take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 and let the Cardinals scramble for the next 10 minutes to figure out what they're going to do. Because are they going to take Drake May now, or are they going to go get, are they going to trade back to go get one of the other receivers, Neighbors or Duze or whatever. So, I mean, look.
So I'll leave it here because we do have some other free agents that we got to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in if you believe in Justin Fields. I personally think that they should move on. You obviously think that he might be their guy. Go get the receiver. So we'll see. It's going to come to fruition. But I do want to ask you an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
What was the worst deal that you saw in free agency?
The worst. Ooh, the worst deal. The one that made me scratch my head the most was probably Aaron Jones to Minnesota.
Okay.
I wasn't mad at the Packers for going to get Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is an upgrade from Aaron Jones. But I mean, I think, and I don't want to say the worst because that makes it sound like real crazy. As I think right now, I think that's the one that made me scratch my head the most. What about you?
Gabe Davis to the Jacks.
Wow, I think that's a great pickup.
So okay, so let me just paraphrase this.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only person that thinks Gabe Davis is overrated?
No, but I think that's still a good pickup.
So I got to look at the details of his contract, but I think it's like $33 million or something like that, 3 years. I felt like that Gabe Davis throughout his career in Buffalo just underachieved, and I feel like he played with one of the top 5 quarterbacks right now. You know, maybe top 5, top 10, however you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to go and play with Trevor Lawrence, I don't look at Gabe Davis and say to myself, he moves the needle. Like he's not the person that I just look at and say, you know what? Let me go out there and get Gabe Davis.
Well, so I'll say this: he is boom or bust, right? But that was honestly, that was the environment he was in. Because I mean, there was a lot of boomer. There was Josh Allen was a boom or bust. Stephon Diggs was boom or bust at times. They didn't have no running game until this half of this season. So I felt like I think he's good, right? I think that Chiefs game put him on the map, and it was hard for him to live up to that game. I mean, it's hard to live up to a 4 touchdown game against one of the best teams ever, you know. So I don't want to say that. I don't think he's sorry. I think he's a good player. I
think sorry would be the wrong word.
Yeah, I mean, they knew they wasn't going to sign Calvin Ridley because they didn't want to give the Falcons that extra pick. So it would have been hard for Calvin Ridley I mean, for them, I guess ultimately they was replacing Calvin Ridley. And I mean, they got some good pieces to go along with him, and I don't think that. I understand what you're saying because you feel like he's a little overrated. He should be like, I'll use Madden like ratings for instance. He's probably a 78, but really with his talent, he should be like an 89, 90
easily.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. And so so that I agree on because he's had some game because again it's boom or bust. He'll either give you 6 catches, 100 yards, or 1 catch for 7 yards, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? So it'll be interesting to see how he pairs with Ingram, Kirk. They still have Etienne in the backfield. I kind of like the move, man. I think he'll probably be more comfortable because he doesn't have to deal with Stephon Diggs anymore. I don't think you go from Stephon Diggs to Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. You kind of go, puff your chest out a little bit because you pretty much probably the most successful receiver in that room.
So let me ask you this. I'm gonna switch gears for you because this had to be the strangest thing I've heard in a while. JFK Jr. asked Aaron Rodgers to be his vice president candidate. What are your thoughts on
that?
We have to mention it because this is that outrageous, right?
Is he even old enough to be a vice president?
Yeah, I believe he's 39. So I believe like the age.
39? Like, I didn't know he was 39. Okay.
He might be like 37, but I thought I could have sworn he's like 39.
That's outrageous. I think that's just it's one of the most outrageous things I heard all day, and I was just like, man, what in the world? So I'll say this: no, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't run for vice president. He could barely lead his teams.
Yeah, so, that's what I was about to say. I wouldn't even
expect him to lead the country. Hell nah.
I wouldn't even vote Aaron Rodgers vice president off the record.
Yeah, no. So Aaron Rodgers is he's a different type of individual. He's a different type of individual. But let's go to the running backs, right? We spoke about Aaron Jones. We spoke about Josh Jacobs briefly. You got Derrick Henry to the Ravens. You got Saquon Barkley, who if we was gonna get a running back, that's what I wanted us to get. I've said that for months. But you can Saquon Barkley.
I know we passed the winner of the week, and it's okay. We don't have to do it. We can just. So my winner of the week is Tiki Barber.
No! Stop! No, we stop everything we doing. We going right? Yeah. Let's go.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
You up?
All right. So look, I thought this was a great segue into my winner of the week. My winner of the week is Tiki Barber, right? So one thing about the Giants, I felt like Saquon Barkley did every single thing that he was right? He tried to get re-signed. They didn't give him the contract. They let him walk out the door. Before a former player to just basically call him a traitor, say that he had no loyalty to the organization when that organization couldn't get the deal done to keep that man in the door, he had to do what he needed to do to secure his bag to continue to get paid. And I don't fault him for going to the Eagles, but I thought it was just You know, Tiki Barber, like I always felt like him and Rondé Barber, and I tried to support them because they were from Virginia and they were twins, and it was a nice, feel good story. But at times, these are really annoying. And Tiki Barber is one of them individuals that is just extremely annoying. And for that reason, he is my winner of the week. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, just real quick before I even get into that. Rondé Barber is annoying. I barely ever hear Rondé Barber ever talk.
When I seen him on his football, like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so annoyed with Tiki Barber and the fraud that he is that it just because they look alike, I can't tell the difference.
Okay, that's it. It's almost like the baby mama getting mad at the kid because the kid looks like the daddy. I get it. I get it. Okay, so in regards to this situation, I felt like it's right on brand with Tiki Barber, right? It's the same guy that cheated on his pregnant wife. We don't even have to go into all of that. We know that story, but this the same guy that bashed his own teammates, and it's like, it's ironic the year after he retires, the Giants win the Super Bowl. Don't really think he was that happy for him because he just retired. But it's crazy to do Saquon like that, because here's the thing. One thing Saquon never did was cheat the game. I don't want to even say cheat. We already know he ain't cheat the game, but he ain't cheat his teammates, right? So he had a contract dispute, and instead of holding out, and people got mad at him, especially the other running backs in the league, instead of holding out, he showed up to camp because he couldn't, he didn't want to miss camp to be with his guys. If Saquon Barkley would have got hurt last year, was Tiki Barber gonna front him some money? You know what I'm saying? If the Giants were so loyal to Saquon Barkley, the Giants would have gotten that deal done 2 years ago, right? And honestly, it's probably better for his career that he did leave, because one, he's in a winning situation immediately, right? How long he's been there? 5 years, 6 years, and they've only made the playoffs once. Yeah, they made the playoffs once, and even then they got blown out. So I think for him to come at Saquon that way was one, and that was, first of all, that's a fellow running back. Forget being a fellow person in the league, that's a fellow running back, right? And because he went to Philly, and because Philly wanted to pay, first of all, I do feel like Philly overpaid him just so he wouldn't go anywhere else, right? Because that's just my personal opinion. But I don't care. He got his money, and he's worked his ass off to get that money. So for him to feel like you saying he betrayed, no, he did what he needed to do to secure his bag for his family and for himself. So Tiki, I just feel like it to me, it felt like it was more than football. I'm happy that Saquon responded the way that he did. It was
absolutely more than football to that. Yeah. It had to be something else.
And it's like, he's been like this for a while. Here's the other thing, right? The Giants messed up when they gave Daniel Jones that money, right? I think everybody could agree they messed up when they gave Daniel Jones all that money. But you know who was the one person that was supporting Daniel Jones, speaking super positive about Daniel Jones? Saquon Barkley. Yep. He could have been hating. He could have said nothing. He didn't have to say anything. But he supported him because that was his guy. So to say that he was betrayed, no. I mean, or he betrayed the Giants. No, the Giants betrayed him. The Giants betrayed him. Now, granted, yes, the Giants lost Saquon and Xavier McKinney, and the Giants had a pretty good day one, but I feel like in regards to Tiki, he needs to check himself, right?
That Xavier McKinney is going to hurt a lot.
Oh, absolutely. You know, but you get Brian Burns, and I mean that's a hell of a pickup. So it's gonna be real interesting to see what other moves they make. Because
we gotta talk about this though.
Okay.
Not to cut you off. Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to go to the Cowboys. I didn't really think he was going to go to. So, and I don't see. We was just talking about a hater, right? And I don't want to come off as a hater. I don't want to come off as a. It's gonna sound like I'm coming off as a hater, but I feel like Derrick Henry's on a decline, right? I feel like out of all of those backs, whether it was Pollard, not Jones because he wasn't a free agent, Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, those were the main guys. I guess Singletary. I felt like Derrick Henry, because he's been so productive and he's had a high carry limit. Now, the thing is, I don't think he's going to have as many carries as he shouldn't, but I don't know if we're going to get Tennessee Titans Derrick Henry, man. And if we, it may.
So here's my thought. I don't think we need Tennessee Titans Derrick Henry. I think if Derrick Henry can show up and he can give them 750 yards, it makes them a scary team.
So, no way. You could have kept Gus Edwards for all of that.
You could have, but I do think the threat of having Henry with a elite quarterback that he has not had the opportunity to play with.
Are you saying Tannehill wasn't elite? I'm joking.
Tannehill is a poor man's Kirk Cousins.
Wait, let's just move on.
I'm not even gonna get into bashing Tannehill today. All right, so the Texans. Do you like what the Texans are doing?
Texans are going to win that division next year, and the Texans are going to. I don't see anything stopping the Texans from, honestly, you look at them now, and I honestly could see conference championship. I ain't going Super Bowl, but I could see conference championship. And
you look at Wrigley, you look at Mixon. I mean, they've made other moves.
We got Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, they got him on the first day. It's like, wow. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they've seen enough in their quarterback to where they're like, you know what? We need to go all in. We need to figure out, we need to quit messing around and signing Singletary and get a real legitimate. I mean, Singletary is a solid running back, but I would consider Singletary to be slightly above average. Yeah. But Joe Mixon is a game changer.
Yeah. And I agree with that. One thing I don't agree with that you said today is that the Ravens only need 750 yards from Derrick Henry. You listen, anything under 1,200 yards is a failure. You
think he can give you 1,200 yards? I think it's an unrealistic expectation to think that he can give you 1,200 yards.
What I'm saying, I don't know, right? But when you get Derrick Henry, you're expecting to get because if you get 750 yards, you're just paying for Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards and any of those other J.K. Dobbins, any of those other running backs. They're like, you're not getting Derrick Henry to be an average running back. No. Listen, they want a 1,000-yard running back. They haven't had a 1,000-yard running back since Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram was their last 1,000-yard running back, and now that was how long ago? That was pre-COVID.
I believe they will either draft a back. They may even have one.
They got Justice Hill. They don't need to draft the back.
Yeah, I believe that they'll split that backfield maybe 60-40 Derrick Henry's way.
Listen to what I'm telling you, Scott. Anything under 1,200 yards is a failure.
Okay, so how many yards did he have last year? Did he have over 1,000 yards last year?
He
He may
did.
have went over 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Hold on. I'll tell you right now. Derrick Henry. Last year was 2023. He had 1167. All right, so this is what I'll do. I won't say under 1,200 because the year before that he had 1538. So anything under 1,100. I'll even come down 100 yards. Anything under 1,100 is a failure.
So I'm sleeping on Derrick Henry, and you may have swayed my opinion, right? Because if he got 1,100 yards in that offense last year, splitting carries, every single person in the world knew that he was going to run the ball. He had 8 in the box, damn near every time he touched the ball. If he was able to get 1,100 yards in that offense, he possibly can get 1,200 yards. Because I think Lamar Jackson is going to keep 8 people out the box, and they're going to.
They have enough. They have enough receiving weapons where you can't put because Zay Flowers is only going to get better.
Yeah, and then Mark Andrews and they've got. Bateman seemed to be coming on late, so yeah, he could probably rush for 1,200.
And you said 750. That is an utter disaster. What they paid this man $10 million or whatever to get 750 yards.
I don't think they're going to have to force feed him the football.
They don't have to force feed him. No, I don't think they'll have to force feed him. But
I think they're just going to have him not as a decoy because they'll use him, but he's not going to have 30 touches a game. I think he'll probably get maybe 15, maybe 16 touches a game, which is still a lot for a running back that's played for as many years as he's played. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Very, very much so. So I don't know, man. So before we get out of here, I just want to update some people. So as y'all can see in somewhere up around there, we at episode 287, and we are getting close to 300. So our 300th episode is going to be a live event. We'll get more info to the location. It might be it might be invite only. Yeah, it might be invite only. And but if you were around for, I know a lot of people, we posted some of the 100th episode, and that was crazy. It was a lot of fun. I feel like we got yelled at by some people in the crowd because around that time, that was when and this is what really got the crowd going, was the whole Aisha Curry wanting more attention. Remember that time? That was so nonetheless, it was a good time. We'll have, again, just like last time, we'll the crowd to be involved. We gonna make it do what it do. I think it's gonna be cool. It'll be live, so you'll get to interact with us.
I'm just thinking to the 100. We had Trey hosting.
You had Trey hosting.
Phantom performed.
He did. He did. Damn. He did. Damn. Yeah.
No. We was big time.
It was. I wish Wicked Bloom was still open, man. COVID kind of messed that up, but I feel like we got more than enough of a crew. It should be even better. So that's TBD. We'll let everybody know when that is. And we'll be here live and with a crowd in the background. And anything can happen. We don't know. We may have some giveaways. Who knows? Sky's the limit. The world is our oyster. So, but we gotta get up out of here because it's a battle that's about to happen. And yeah, man. So Scott, you got anything?
No, sir.
Oh, real quick. So supposedly Eric Kendricks was had agreed to sign with the 49ers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I thought when the person posted, I was like, you know what? I thought I saw him sign with the 49ers. But
that's crazy. Maybe somebody else will flip. That would. Hey, I tell you what, if one of them running backs flip, we might go live immediately. But nonetheless, we out of here. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
All right, see you. Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.